All right, we had some technical difficulties here this morning on the live stream. The high speed internet here decided to shut off for just a little bit, and shut us all down. Tried to get the phone hotspot up and working, but it was just not quite strong enough on the 5G network here to push all of the video stuff. So, but it just, I guess, just rebooted. I don't know. It came back up. So here we are. We're back at it, and we didn't miss very much. Euro dollar has dropped down right into the top of that breaker and filled in that fair value gap and pulling back away from it. But again, we're not taking any position. We have the Eurozone news coming out in about 6 minutes. So until the interest rate from Euro hits, we're not going to do anything. So, and I just saw ICT tweet out his live stream. So the fact that there's 3 or 4 of you in here watching this right now instead of him, I appreciate your loyalty. I appreciate your loyalty. So let's go over here and check out gold here on our 30-minute time frame. Nice little displacement through this breaker block. A nice little fair value gap here. It's unfortunate. If there was no news coming out here in the next 20 minutes, I would say set a sell limit order up here. Something like that. Maybe something like that if you wanted to be a little bit more aggressive, but it's kind of nice. It's a nice little setup here, little breaker block, little fair value gap. Not calling that, but that's what I would like to see. You get a run on stops, breakthrough. Dollar is definitely pushing up higher now. We're reaching back into this daily volume imbalance right here. Will this act as resistance now? We've broken through it and traded all the way through. We've come back up. It has rejected off of it, and we're currently right in the middle of it right now. So you can see we've got on the 4-hour this run on liquidity and energetic displacement, but we couldn't follow through here. So when we get this news here this morning, I think it's going to give us some other direction. Pound still inside of its consolidation range. Euro is here. We've identified a 15-minute breaker on Euro. There is a nice fair value gap below it and then one above it. I wouldn't trade it until after the news. We could get some whipsaw with the Euro interest rate decision where we just flip around and take out both sides of liquidity here. So this is what happened on the dollar interest rate decision yesterday. So we're not going to be in a position. But it did come all the way back down here, retrace back down into this breaker that we identified earlier on the first stream before we got shut off. We identified this fair value gap and this breaker. It reached right down into the top of that breaker, filled in that fair value gap, and we're getting a little pullback off of that currently. Alex says, I have that entry on gold from London. You're now at break even. Thought I could hit TP before news. Highly unlikely now. Yeah. If you're, man, going into the news here, wherever you're at, if you're in profit, I mean, it's not a bad idea just to close that out if you're in profit. Or even if you're a break even. I mean, it is probably a pretty wise decision. Yeah, this London move on gold, this is the one you're talking about. If you were using this entry right here. We got about 2.5 minutes here, I think. I'm going to go back over here to Euro and watch what happens with the Euro. when the news drops. 2.5 minutes, and then maybe we'll get. And then we have another. We have the red folder retail sales coming out at 8:30. So really, for the next 15 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes, we're probably not. We're just gonna watch and wait and see. With all of the news this week, it's very tough to get clear direction because you get this every day, and it's just not a fun trading environment. Like a couple of red folder news events a week, cool, but one or multiple every single day, not super fun. All right, about a minute and a half here. Great reaction off of that breaker and that fair value gap. Had this not been a red folder news day, that would have been a great setup to take. We'll see how it responds when it gets back up into this breaker and these fair value gaps. Will it respect bearish order flow, or we're really just trading sideways here? So got about a minute left, and then we'll see some pops on our charts here. I bet ICT has a couple thousand people watching. Well, he doesn't have these 5. And it would not hurt my feeling if you go watch his stream. You're probably going to get some pretty good nuggets out of it. If I wasn't committed to streaming this live like I have every day, I might pop over there. I haven't watched one of his live streams or listened to his stuff in a couple months. He says he's gonna be off in November completely. All right, here we go. So we did get the expected 0.25% hit on the interest rate and the deposit facility rate. And we have not gotten any kind of violent reaction so far. Pound, nothing. Dollar's pulling back away a little bit from that. Gold, not much reaction here. Okay, now we're getting the euro pop. That what a beautiful breaker trade, right? That's a take profit right there already. If stupid red folder news, what a great trade. Reaching for buy side liquidity here currently. Pound not doing much. Dollar is finding some weakness here. Gold pushing back. Not super heavy here on gold. Again, we've got red folder news for the dollar here at 8:30. So we're in a holding pattern right now. Dollar's finding weakness. Pound is climbing higher. Euro has taken out some buy side liquidity again. So we've had one dig. Now we've had a higher dig on that. And now we'll wait. But man, look at that reaction off of that fair value gap nested inside that breaker. Yeah, this volume balance up here and yesterday's high. if we are going to remain bullish on the euro. Euro and gold typically tend to move together. So if euro is going up, gold will typically want to go up somewhat with it. Not always, but somewhat. They do like to move in tandem. Hey, we got our 8 viewers back. Welcome back in, guys. I feel honored that you're here instead of watching ICT right now on YouTube. If you didn't know, he's live streaming currently. He just tweeted out a link. So I don't know if he's trading or if he's just teaching today, but I appreciate your loyalty. I appreciate that you're here watching Mr. Nobody. So for me, if I was looking for a gold short, I would be looking for an entry somewhere up in this area. With a stop either at the bodies of these candles or above that wick. If you're going to use the wick, then you're looking at something like that. That's off of 30-minute time frame. So you've got your 30-minute breaker candles here, fair value gap nested inside. But again, we have news still to come. So we are holding. We're not doing anything until after 8:30. The euro rate came in as expected. We've now had a run on buy side liquidity here. Beautiful reaction off of the 15-minute London breaker from this morning earlier. Pulled right back into that fair value gap, right into the top of that breaker right there. Right here, sorry, this breaker. That fair value gap, beautiful reaction. Be interesting to see as we head into the dollar news for retail sales. Do we get follow through, or is this just another liquidity grab? And Wednesday was the high of the week. Hard to say currently. Pound still has not claimed either side of its liquidity yet. Gold has reached right back up into the body and wick of that 30-minute, that fair value gap and that 30-minute candle. I would use these two together as my breaker and be more interested into a deeper dig into that fair value gap there. If I were going to take a gold trade, but again, nothing is happening until after 8:30 when we get our retail sales numbers. We are being patient. Do not get antsy about these big candles popping around here. All right, just relax. There is nothing to do but sit and wait. So we've taken buy side liquidity. We still have sell side liquidity, relative equal lows down here. So with this rejection off of there, you could potentially be looking for these lows down here as sell side liquidity targets to get run. This is yesterday's. I'm going to take yesterday's high off of there. We've run buy side liquidity here, and we've run buy side liquidity here now. Almost got and rebalanced that entire range from yesterday. Not quite. And you can see our reaction off of this London 15-minute breaker and fair value gap here. Just a beautiful reaction. And it's unfortunate that we did not, that we had red folder news here that we couldn't participate with that. But it's fine. I never really, like I tweeted out yesterday, I used to get upset when I would see these moves play out that I didn't execute and didn't have a chance to. But when you understand that the market's going to be here every single day, it's not going anywhere. There's clean setups that happen all the time. There's plenty of days where there's not red folder news and things aren't whipping around back and forth all over like fireworks. And these are just not high probability trading environments. I mean, you're gambling if you're trying to get in. You're just completely gambling, and that is not professional trading. Your edge goes out the window. So it's entertaining to watch, and what you're doing in instances like this, when we're just sitting here, you're building up the self-discipline and the character and the emotional control that you need to be able to stay in this business for the long term. Always having a long-term mindset, always thinking next week, next month, next year, I want to be doing this. So what's happening today, if I lose control and I give in to my impulses and my emotions that are roiling inside of me, could screw what I want to be doing next year. I could screw that up today. And so you have to always be thinking, man, long term. What decisions am I making right now that are going to keep me in the business by this time next year? What decision am I going to make today that's going to make sure that I'm still doing this exact same thing a year from now, and I'm getting payouts and I'm stacking accounts? And it's not giving into the temptation of quick profits. And you see these volatile moves, you see these big candles, and you just get tempted to be like, well, just click the buy button. Look, it's going up. Look at these big candles. It's going up. Just click buy. It's going to keep going up. Well, you have no clue where it's going to go next. No clue. Pound still hasn't taken out its buy side. Gold is pulling back off of, tapped right into that fair value gap, right into that 30-minute breaker, and which is also correlated with this order block here and falling away. So we'll see if the red folder news digs up a little bit higher there, but we'll just watch and wait. Be patient. Be patient, be patient, be patient. There is no rush. All right, we got about 4 more minutes here until the dollar news hits. Then we can really start hunting our setups. So appreciate you guys watching. Sorry that you had to jump around from link to link today on the stream. Nothing, it was kind of out of my control. Couldn't do much about that, but if you haven't hit the like button on this new stream, I'd appreciate it. And I need to figure out if I'm going to just delete that off the playlist. Do I keep part 1, part 2 for today's stream? We were only on for about, I guess, right at an hour when we got kicked off, for about 10 minutes there. Starting to see some follow through now here on this high. If we displace above that, then obviously yesterday's high is in danger of being taken there. And if you're bullish, we are in on the 4-hour time frame, we are in a uptrend here. Excuse me. These could become your 15-minute bullish, your breakers right here. I'm just thinking ahead a little bit. We got a couple more minutes until news hits, but these up close candles, this run on liquidity below these lows, rebalancing here, this run on liquidity started right here, right? So we had a dip, came back up, and then we ran liquidity and break. So these could become your 15-minute breaker blocks right here, potentially. Okay. So we'll watch and wait that out and see. You can see on the 30-minute time frame here as well. Could be your breaker. Your last up close candle before you ran sell side liquidity. You could use this one here. This one is gonna, if this next candle gets displacement, you could get a deeper run into that fair value gap there. So that's why this is the move. So this swing leg right here started right here, right? Swing down, break the level. There's your breaker. On a 5-minute time frame, yeah. These two 5-minute candles right here would be your 5-minute time frame. You see a fair value gap down here. All right, we've got about 40 seconds here. We're going to get some dollar news. Is this just a run on liquidity? We don't know yet. We don't know any information. We don't know what is happening. Pound is going down and euro's going up. All right, so they're not moving in conjunction with each other. Dollar is showing weakness. Gold still showing weakness. Market's about to open on US 30. So here we go, about 10 seconds. We'll see what kind of news we get here on the retail sales numbers. Quick pop down. Oh, they came in way hotter than forecast. They were expecting a pretty good drop, and they came in way hotter. So we'll see what kind of reaction we get here. Currently weakness from the dollar. Pound showing some strength. Gold also showing some strength now on those numbers. I mean, they missed that. They missed that pretty largely. So retail sales were much stronger than expected. Retail sales were much stronger than expected. They were forecasting a significant drop on retail sales, and they came in a lot hotter. Which means people are spending money and the economy is very strong, which would mean bearish dollar, risk-on environment for your indexes. Yeah, it's dropping pretty hard here now. Yesterday's high just got taken out on euro. Yesterday's low is way down here for the dollar. It's not taken out yesterday's low yet, but euro has. So we'll watch that, see what kind of reaction we get from euro here after taking out yesterday's high, if we get any. Pound has taken out sell side liquidity here. That move started with these two up close candles. So if we get displacement above here on the pound, That could be an interesting area to watch. Gold has not dug deeper into there, but if the dollar continues to drop heavily, you would anticipate gold moving up a little bit in there. Euro just running away here. Pound not running as aggressively, but still trying to push higher. This could be a run on liquidity here. We're going to have to watch and wait here on gold. Dollar has now reached back into that daily volume imbalance, and then you have your fair value gap and order block here where it reacted off of yesterday. Again, this is the low for the dollar yesterday. Euro has already passed and taken out its high here and just screaming away. US 30 has really just not done much at all off of that news. Gold now has reached back up into that fair value gap inside that breaker. So if this is going to remain bearish, you would want to see this fair value gap be respected and pull away. Pound has still not taken out buy side liquidity yet. It's still holding within inside this range here. I mean, and having some struggles getting ahead of these highs. Meanwhile, Euro has taken out its high from yesterday and shown quite a bit of displacement. What a beautiful run off of this breaker and fair value gap down here. What a beautiful run. So interesting watching the market respond and react at certain levels. Dollar pushing back off of that volume imbalance, much like it did here. Have about 9 more minutes here to see how this 15-minute candle closes. If you get a strong closer down here on the dollar, you can see any run on liquidity here. We took out an old high here. We took out an old high here. That started right here on this down close candle. So this down close candle right here would be a breaker on the dollar. And you obviously have some fair value gaps a little bit higher here. But depending on how this candle closes, that could be a breaker area for the dollar. That could potentially be an area of interest. Pound still struggling to get up above these highs here. Euro holding strong above yesterday's high currently. US 30 still doing nothing. Gold now has filled in that entire sell side imbalance fair value gap inside of these breakers right here. If gold displaces above this high, then you know, you would have to flip your bias there. And again, it could do that. You could displacement. You've grabbed sell side liquidity. We've reached our weekly draw for our sell side target here on gold. So there's stops under here that could push price into a retracement back up inside this area. So you need to watch and wait. I would have preferred to catch like this trade here where you have this downside move, big up, and then displacement through, and get some kind of a trade in here to target that sell side. We've already reached it, so we're just going to kind of watch that. Dollar holding off on that volume imbalance. So we'll see how price responds there. Pound pulling off of its highs. Again, not being able to break through. And euro still holding above yesterday's high here currently. There is the press conference coming up in about 10 minutes here, the ECB press conference. So they could say all kinds of funny words that bring in some new life to the euro. So we'll kind of watch that. But the data was consistent with what the expectation of hitting a rate hike there for the euro. Pound's still just sitting inside this area here. Nothing to do on the pound. And yeah, that breaker is currently holding. That fair value gap's holding. We still have that's a 30-minute. This is a 30-minute time frame, so we still have quite a bit of time on this candle. But that's interesting to me that if we are going to remain bearish, we said we needed this fair value gap to be respected inside this breaker. And currently, you're getting a nice reaction off of that. Dollar pushing down into that volume imbalance. Pound still not showing any desire to go up. And euro still holding strong here. Your higher time frame objective is up here. On the weekly time frame, you have this weekly fair value gap, and you have this daily swing level right here. So this red line is at the top of that swing level, which correlates with the bottom of the weekly fair value gap here. So that's your next draw on liquidity here for euro dollar. And you'll notice that will bring it back in line to a premium discount level from your last big move up. We're actually at that premium. We just crossed into premium level here. Big push up. OTE area from this leg down lines up with that weekly fair value gap. So your OTE level, that 62 fib, lines up just inside, above that swing high and inside that weekly fair value gap. So we'll watch and see as price draws up into that, what kind of, are we going to get a push up to these relative equal highs in this weekly volume imbalance here, or do we get a reaction off of this order block in this OTE area that starts sending the euro back down? But that's our current next draw on liquidity is right up here. Getting a lot of strong follow through here now with about 3 minutes left on this 15-minute candle. Pound still not able to break through. It is finding a little strength though, but we haven't seen the same follow through as we see on the euro. Dollar dropping heavily now through that volume imbalance. 3 minutes left on that candle, so we'll see what this close looks like. US 30 is taking out some sell side liquidity here. It'll be interesting to see if we get some displacement away from that. Couple more minutes here on this 15-minute candle. Man, it's every morning right about this time. My throat starts getting all kinds of janky. And I'm surprised my dogs haven't shown up yet. They always like to show up around this time. Getting some messages here on my... Tomorrow's stream, just a heads up, may be slightly abbreviated. My wife and I are heading to Austin for a couple days to hang out with some of my kids and their spouses, and so we're going to be heading over to Austin tomorrow morning. It will be after the stream, obviously. I just don't know how long I'll be able to stream tomorrow because we're going to get out of here sometime in the morning before lunch, and I'm gonna have to pack, and I'm gonna try and do as much as I can tonight. But it is what it is when you're traveling like that. Stuff happens, and so I may not be able to stay on super long in the morning. A lot of it's just going to depend on how early my wife wants to leave and how early she wakes up and wants to get going. So happy wife, happy life. You know how that works. So we'll see tomorrow exactly how long I can stay on. And then the next Friday, the stream is currently 50-50 whether next Friday's stream is going to happen, because I'm helping a friend of mine move. I'm going to drive the U-Haul truck for him up near College Station. So next Friday, well, we're actually doing it Thursday, so I'll stream Thursday morning. But then that later that day, I'm going to drive his U-Haul truck for him and help him move. And I may just stay there Thursday night and come back Friday. And if that's the case, I won't be able to stream Friday morning next week. But if the move goes well and everything gets done, I can be back Thursday evening, and we'll still be able to do the live stream. But I'll obviously keep everyone up to date on exactly how that's going to play out. All right, so that 15-minute candle has closed. We've had obvious strong displacement above this level, so this is a valid breaker block right here. You have this fair value gap inside. Why is that not? There we go. So you have this fair value gap here. All right. So if I were going to look at this, I would anticipate price not wanting to come and fill this entire fair value gap in. But I would anticipate it coming down and tapping it and getting into this breaker block right here on a 30-minute time frame. You can see on the 30-minute time frame that this fair value gap sits a little bit more like that. On the 5-minute, the fair value gap sits all the way below. Actually, it would be more like that. I really like the way that looks on the 30-minute time frame right there. As aggressively as price is running away here, I'm not sure you're going to get an entry. We'll watch and wait. But pound still not breaking through. Dollar reaching down now. Blew through that volume imbalance and is now reaching down into that fair value gap level. Again, remember, This is yesterday's low for the dollar, and we are still a pretty good ways away from that, taking out yesterday's low. And euro dollar has just blown through yesterday's high. Gold on the 15-minute time frame has pulled back up, completely filled that imbalance in on the 30-minute time frame, which is where these breaker blocks are. If it does not respect that fair value gap over the next 15 minutes or so, you would anticipate displacement above this high, and then identifying a fair value gap inside these breakers here. These are the candles that ran the lows. If you get displacement above it, you could get a potential something like this back into a fair value gap that then aims for these highs or these highs up here. Hard. Since we've already taken out this sell side liquidity, that's why we're it could go lower, but currently the way the dollar is responding would make you think, and the way the euro is responding would make you think that it's going to have a higher draw on liquidity. Great setup here on this breaker and this fair value gap. Created another one on the displacement higher. The question becomes, will you get this is the 30-minute breaker here. The question becomes, will you get any kind of pullback at all? 4-hour time frame. Have about 10 minutes, currently displacing above that high there. US 30, here you have a run on buy side liquidity. If you can get some displacement above this high, you might have an opportunity to get long on US 30 and target some of this liquidity up here. You see it's just dripping down, dripping down, dripping down. You would want to see a break of structure here on that 5-minute would need to displace above that and get a break of structure here on the 15-minute. Euro pull back in now here as we come to the close of this hour. Interesting to see how this hourly candle closes because, again, if it doesn't displace above that high and it just is grabbing that liquidity off of yesterday's high, and you have the dollar not taking out yesterday's low. So it's just interesting to see all of the different dynamics playing out here right now. Gold's still respecting that fair value gap and that breaker. See if we get any kind of continuation displacement here on US 30. seeing euro dollar now drop heavily back in. The news conference is going on, so there could be some statements being made by those whoever is running that. That's getting a nice reaction back here. Seeing the dollar pull back off of that fair value gap and that volume imbalance. It did not take out yesterday's low. Euro took out yesterday's high. You could have what's called SMT divergence, meaning when a correlated pair that move in conjunction with each other, when one of them makes, in this case, a higher high on euro, but does not make a lower low, to correlate, this would have needed to take out yesterday's low, like euro took out yesterday's high. Okay. When it doesn't do that, it is a lot of times that's a sign that there's a reversal in place, that this was just a run on liquidity so that we could run sell side liquidity targets down here. Because the dollar did not give us the same correlated move. So we'll watch and wait. Still just watching and waiting. Pound still heavily inside its consolidation area here, showing no sign of direction. It's just very lifeless at the moment. Gold trying to close very bullish on this 30-minute candle. Again, for gold, it's reached its sell side objective. It's run liquidity. You've had an energetic move down into liquidity. If we get displacement higher than we would anticipate, since the sell side objective has been met, it could want to retrace higher and pull back into that range. US 30 now, breaking that high. And on the 15-minute, you can see just wicking that high. So you would want to see this 15-minute candle close up above that range if you're going to anticipate a run on buy-side liquidity. Where did this run start? It started up here. So if you do get displacement above that high, this could be your breaker. You could identify that as a breaker, but I would be more inclined to use that whole range as a breaker. And you do have a fair value gap sitting inside of this upside that caused a run on liquidity. So you had this push up, push up, push up, drop aggressively, quickly return. Euro dropping heavily back down now and after grabbing yesterday's high. This is the breaker again. This is the breaker part of that, but I would hesitate to want to remain bullish here only because you have the divergence between the dollar not taking the low and the euro taking the high. So this appears currently to be a run on liquidity. And dropping back down lower here. Pound's still not showing any direction. Have just some conflicting information here between the dollar and euro. Still have a couple minutes here for this hourly candle to close. Previous day high has been robbed. This could be a potential entry here for US 30. You could use the low, just put your targeting this buy side liquidity up here. A little bit more work to do on that. So again, you have your 5-minute succession of run up, aggressive run into buy side, and then displacement away. You didn't get a lot of follow through here. So that's a little concerning to me that the 15-minute candle hasn't had a change of structure yet. But interesting to watch. Again, I don't have a lot of confidence in that, but that is an interesting setup there to watch. Pound now wanting to push a little bit higher. Euro is pulling back here. Dollar trying to close lower. Pound pushing up higher here as we reach the end of the hour. So it technically closed above that high. Nine o'clock hour here. Gold closed at the top of its range and is showing a desire to displace higher here. This hourly candle, you could get a drop down. Get a nice little wick test here if it wants to go up higher. Again, with the divergence here between the low of the dollar yesterday being respected, but the high being run on euro, often is a sign of a reversal. So again, I'm very cautious and hesitant here. But this is a nice identified breaker. Dollars wanting, not really showing didn't reach down into that fair value gap. Did hold that volume imbalance pretty well here right now. If we were to identify a trade, I would probably want to see something like that. An aggressive stop would be just below the breaker, but I don't like that on the 30-minute. Be super tight. At fair value gap, you would want to see re-respected. below the candle of, there's that fair value gap there. Put it below that candle where the fair value gap was created. Could be a potential protected stop area. Just talking this out to myself here, y'all. That's all. Pound finally showing a desire to reach up above buy side liquidity here. Tap into that. You have a volume imbalance just above that it's almost reached back into from yesterday's drop. Gold, currently no wick on the bottom side of gold there. And US 30, we did have a change of structure here. Wasn't super heavy displacement, but it is displacement, drop down, drop up, and you have your fair value gap there inside of this succession of 5-minute candles. All right. Just hanging here and watching to see how price reacts here as we get into the 9 o'clock hour. I need to use the take a little bathroom break here real quick. So let me jump off of here for just a couple minutes, and then I'll be right back, and we'll see what's going on. All right. Feel better? All right, let's just take a run through here and see what we see, shall we? We've seen euro dollar take out yesterday's high. Had a short little pullback here as the 9 o'clock hours opened. We've opened and pushed up. Haven't taken out the last hourly high yet. We do have a breaker block, a 30-minute breaker block right here. Small little fair value gap. But my lack of confidence is in the fact that the DXY has yet to take out yesterday's low, and euro has aggressively taken out yesterday's high. It has held that level now, so that's good. And you do have a strong draw of liquidity up here in an uptrend. So there are several factors that make me believe that it could continue to go up here. Pound is finally pushing above its high. Oh, look, just as I get back from my bathroom break, the dogs have arrived. So, and let me push pause one more time. Let them to go do their business outside, and then we'll pop back on here. Give me just another minute. I'm sorry, guys. Apologize. I'll be right back. All right. Hopefully we're done with the distractions there. All right, pound dollar pushing up above its highs now. Outside. So you have this push down into this buy side liquidity. You get displacement above. You don't really have a fair value gap sitting inside of there anywhere. This would be your breaker, 5-minute candle, but there's a little volume imbalance in there, but not much for me to identify as a high probability. On the 30-minute time frame, this would be your breaker here. You had your up move, a down move to take out an old low, and displacement through fair value gap right here. So if this were to be, this is the fair value gap. It's a little bitty tinier fair value gap right there inside this 30-minute breaker. We'll need this. It still has 15 minutes left on that 30-minute candle, but that could potentially be an area that you could target if you get some follow through. Looks like euro dollar's not going to give us an opportunity to pull back here. Dollar is now falling into that fair value gap. Gold is displacing above its high here. And it's leaving behind a fair value gap down here. So you would have these up close candles give you a run on liquidity. You get displacement above, leaving behind a fair value gap. So here is your 30-minute breaker. Again, this needs to close pretty aggressively here above that, displace above that high. And here is your fair value gap. Inside of that. It's a nice looking trade, but we're going to need some confirmation here. Again, this run on liquidity started on these candles. Dollar pushing pretty aggressively down into that fair value gap. Pound running up now higher. This run on liquidity started with these two candles here. So these are the highest body close candles before you had your drop down. On the 30-minute time frame, you have that small little fair value gap. US 30 now, getting displacement there above that high. You did not get a pullback into that fair value gap there. It's now taken out buy-side liquidity. You still have several draws of buy-side liquidity here and here, along with a nice fair value gap you could be targeting. But you didn't get your fair value gap entry there. Pound now completely traded through the volume imbalance created from yesterday here. On these heavy news days, you just often don't get good pullbacks. Price often just wants to completely run away. I know I'm twitchy on TradingView. I'm always like zooming in and zooming out, and so I know that's probably annoying to watch. I need to be better about how I manage my TradingView charts and just let the charts sit there. Probably making you dizzy watching me move that around all the time. That's how I do it live. You're just watching me trade my live sessions. This is how I move my charts around all the time. So dollar now about to take out yesterday's low. Gold, I think, has given us the best opportunity here for an entry, quite honestly. Pound and dollar. Pound doesn't look super clean, and it's just a harder identification here. Euro is just taken off aggressively higher, and gold it's also running higher, but it's still, it still has a pretty good chance to come back down here and tap that in. Yeah, it doesn't look like it is appearing as though we're not going to be able to get an entry here today. That's fine. I honestly, when I last week when I saw how much red folder we news was dropping every single day, I thought if we could find one good setup this week, it would be a good week. And we did get one on Tuesday. It just didn't work out. We took the loss. So I'm perfectly fine not getting a setup today, not taking any trades tomorrow, and letting this week's volatility basically shift the direction and give us a clear bias for the last couple weeks of June. And then we can, there's not a lot of news dropping in the last couple weeks of June. And so we might be able to get smoother waters, so to speak, to operate in. But I do like how this is closing out here on gold. This could be a really good setup. It looks really nice. You had a run on liquidity. You've had displacement back through. You've got a couple fair value gaps. I would use the lower one down here to target, which would be also about 50% of your breaker. And put your low. You could target that low and get a really tight stop there. I would be more inclined to use probably this level on the 5-minute time frame. Shouldn't go back below that. And then you have this as your target. These highs inside that. I kind of like that. If we get a good closure here on the 15-minute and without any severe retracement, I might actually call that setup there. Don't know that we'll get the pullback that we need to get into there, but dollar, let's see, the low yesterday, 102.66, 663, and low here is 656. So we have made a new low. We did take out yesterday's low here on the dollar, along with the euro pound trying to take out yesterday's high. $30-minute time frame, 1 hour time frame. This would have been your best entry for US 30. You just didn't get a pullback. The New York Stock Exchange opens here in about 6 or 7 minutes, and so you could still get a Judas swing down, or this could be the Judas swing up. Alex says, I got out of my gold with 0.5 R profit. Hey, half R profit, good thing, man. Good for you. Good execution, good trade management, especially with news. It's just better to wait. Dollar pulling back a little bit here after tapping yesterday's low. I'm going to stay on for just about maybe 5 or 10 more minutes, guys, and then I've got to get out of here. Just so we're getting our displacements, we're getting our run on liquidities, and we're getting our displacements. We're just not getting any opportunities to participate in these moves today. I would have liked to have seen that euro dollar come back down into that this breaker, but it just didn't reach far enough in there. Pound also just taking off and giving you no opportunity to for a pullback. Gold giving you no opportunity for a pullback either here. We'll stay on just for another couple minutes. We'll watch the New York Open here, see if we get any kind of push on US 30. Wondering if you get a drop down into this fair value gap. Pound still hasn't taken out yesterday's high here. Dollar is hovering around yesterday's low. Gold has now taken out its first buy side liquidity, and it never gave us an entry after that displacement to come back up. So that's not going to be an opportunity for us. In about 40 seconds here, we'll watch US 30, and then we're going to call it a day. All right, 9:30 open coming in here right now. See what kind of energy the market brings. It did come back down to the top of that breaker right there. So again, remember this succession of the 5-minute candles are your collective breaker block. So you had these moves, these up close candles ran liquidity, displaced back through, and you can see price now has come back and tapped right into that breaker. It didn't come back down into this fair value gap, which is what our unicorn trade setup really looks like. But you can see it ran now buy side liquidity, ran it again, reached up into this, almost into that level, not quite. So this could be a Judas swing to the upside to run more sell side liquidity. You just never know. But it did just wick into that, and then it pushed up pretty aggressively. So. Well, guys, I don't think we're going to get another trade opportunity set up here today. I was hoping gold might give us a little pushback there, but it has just run away from us. And, it happens. But it's been good to sit here and watch the markets print candles again. I always enjoy that. I always learn something. And it's just fun to watch. So I appreciate you guys tuning in today. We'll be back at it again tomorrow, looking for another trade setup. We do have some more red folder news, the last of the week tomorrow. So it may look very similar to the last several days where we just watch price pop around very aggressively, and maybe we'll get an entry. You never know. So enjoy the rest of your day. Happy hunting. You guys stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the morning.